everyone, welcome. So, our short and sweet video today is going to be about people pleasers and about being very loyal. So, we've talked about people pleasers quite a few times. It's when we have a disease to please, we actually know it, we just justify it in all the most beautiful reasons and ways. It's I'm a nice person and I just like to help other people, and it makes me happy to help other people. And this is my belief system, and the Bible says this, and nice people do this, and I'm a nice person. So we've got a lot of beautiful justifications and nothing wrong with it. It is the being out of balance part, which is the problem. Now, remember, we're not talking about being nice. We're actually talking about people pleasing. But what we want to do with this one is we want to connect it to be overly loyal. So let me take a few steps back so that we can tie everything in. If anybody is watching, just let me know if there's any problems, if the sound is good, and if everything is nice and clear. And then let's dive in. Right, so being overly loyal is one of the traits of being somebody who has unresolved inner healing, or let's put it in a different way, for somebody who had to grow up way too early. Another way of putting it is that we were brought up by imperfect people doing their best, and one of the things that we learned through this process is not having the necessary tools, but we learned that loyalty above everything else is extremely important. Many reasons why this happened. So, adult child syndrome is basically when we take what we learned in childhood and we believe in it 100%. This is just who I am. I'm a loyal person. My friends can count on me. Everybody know I'm loyal. We are very offended when people are not loyal to us. And let's face it, people are people. Not everybody's going to be loyal. So, unfortunately, but we overdo it. Nothing wrong with loyalty, again. So we take it into adulthood and our belief system that we formed as a child, and we believe in it 100%. Like this is, we define ourselves by it. I, I am somebody who likes to help other people. I am somebody who's just very loyal. So because we define ourselves like that, we identify. And when we identify, we make it part of what we think is our identity. And then we miss the really important part. It is a coping strategy. It is a survival mechanism that we had to learn in order to grow ourselves up through hardship. So let's look at a few examples. So if you are a child of an alcoholic, you get basically shown by your mother that we are going to be loyal to the alcoholic no matter what. We're going to pretend this drinking doesn't happen. Last night there was a big fight. Last night there was screaming and shouting. Last night daddy didn't come home. Or worse. But this morning we're all going to behave like good little angels. Nicely behave. Don't upset anybody, please. So we are going to be loyal to daddy no matter what he does. So we can find quite a variety of those examples. Then the next thing that happened is that the survivors in the family, just like everyone, form trauma bonds. So we form trauma bonds with each other because we are helping each other through the problem. We give up our identity in order to become part of the unity that we feel in sticking together through a problem. And that is called trauma bonds. And that is then what we're going to be doing for the rest of our life until we wake up, is we're going to have attachments that are trauma attachments, because that's what we've learned in childhood. So the trauma attachments are going to be the ones that is going to heal something in us. But when they go away, we are devastated. So, and we will be loyal. We will be loyal way past what is deserved. We will be loyal no matter the consequences to ourselves. Now, that is not healthy. That is honestly not healthy. Like, if you take that loyalty and you put it onto another person and you would say, this is what that one does, and is it healthy or not? You'll be able to see it's not healthy. But in yourself, this is just who I am. So become aware that being loyal way over what is what is um, reasonable, what is what is being earned is not good. Loyalty should be earned. Now, tie that to people pleasing. So now you're a very loyal person, and your loyalty tells you you have to be there for other people. You just have to, because I'm a loyal person. And then you tie it to the need to please, the need to be liked, the need to be feel acceptable, and the need to feel worthy. And there you go. Those two things, people pleaser. And so let's start with loyalty, just to say loyalty is a beautiful thing, but when my loyalty is broken, I have the right to move on, and I also have a right to ask that people redeem their space in my life by showing with changed behavior that loyalty is something that they desire back. Changed behavior, not automatic, because that is who I am. That's being out of balance. And so if we start with loyalty and we don't just give it automatically to everyone and it just stays there, then we are on the road to looking at being a people pleaser. We are looking at when we and when we do that, when we tie the two together, then we want to go to the next one, which is avoidance of conflict, which is what really was supposed to be on the slide today. But I'm going to just do both of them, seeing that the slide started with a wrong topic. But so I will just jump to avoidance of conflict, which is really what we want to talk about today. So before I do that, let me go and see if there's any questions. If anybody wants to talk about loyalty or and how it's connected to people pleasing. Okay, great. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Mitchell. All good? Okay. Now let's go to avoidance of conflict, because avoidance of conflict, um, it's very painful for everybody involved. It's painful for the person who doesn't want to have conflict. It's painful for the person who is on the other side and who is witnessing the avoidance of conflict. Because when there is avoidance of conflict in any situation, nothing gets dealt with in a healthy way. So, avoidance of conflict, the first thing, the first step is the most important. Learn to not look at it as conflict. Look at it as the healthy conversation this particular relationship needs. Relationships, you and your partner, your spouse, your loved one, you and your family, you and your children, you and your colleagues, you and anybody that you pass in life. You have a conversation, you have a relationship with that person at that particular moment. At this stage, I am having a relationship with everybody who's watching. I am here to do my part, and you are here to do your part. You're listening, you're asking questions, you're liking, giving me hearts, and I will try my best to give you as much information as possible. So, all of us have got the ability at any time to say, this is not working for me. Like if any of you said no, the sound is not good, that would have been you giving me input, and that's amazing and it's wonderful. That's why I ask for it. If I don't ask, nobody can give me input. If I don't look at comments, nobody can give me input, and then I can just carry on with no sound. So you see, take that same thing and take that into your life, because that is how it is. If you are the person not who is avoiding the conflict, avoiding the important conversation. We don't talk about conflict anymore, an important conversation. Then what you're basically doing is you're not telling the other person that they're talking and there is no sound. You're not telling the other person that there is something which is a problem to you. You're not communicating what you need in your life in order for life to be better. So, um, say you have a particular need and you don't say that to the other person. How are you going to have that need met? Are you happy to just go through life, just hope through mind reading or a miracle from above or an accident that somebody's going to start helping you get what you really need in life. So it's often stuff like I need somebody to hear what I'm saying. I need to have fun. I need to have a connection with you. I need to have more of this. I need to have less of that. A lot of really important questions. If they don't get communicated, how are you going to get what you need? And if you don't get what you need, you are going to start messing up this relationship with all kinds of reasons and all kinds of behaviors that is harmful and toxic to you. And I will list a few of them. So that's when we start guilting people, blaming people, becoming judgmental, use passive aggressive behavior, withdraw from people. So these are extremely detrimental. And then we get angrier and angrier, and then the ugly fights begin, and the name calling and the punishing behavior starts. So if you're the person on the other side who is with somebody who don't have those important conversations, you are driving. You may be the one who's talking, but you are driving this this bus by yourself. There is no co-pilot here. You are just on your own because you need to do this without input, and therefore you are weaker. But it's not your job to think for the other person. It's not your job to take over from the other person. It is not your job to guess for them what they want. You're not supposed to go into, oh, shame, I know that they like this or that and that, and let me just provide it for them because they can't speak. Newsflash, every adult can speak. We all have a voice. And if you enable somebody by taking away what they should be doing, they will not do it. People with avoidance of conflict are extremely, extremely wary of being judged, of not being accepted, or have a low belief in themselves, so low that they would rather not do something before they get it wrong. People who avoid conflict have an inner fear of being wrong. They would rather do nothing than be wrong. And we have different reasons. Not everybody is the same. But overall, the person who can't speak up need to learn not to be with somebody who will speak for them and take over, because that will be resentment in the end. They need to learn that when they grow inside themselves, they grow, they believe in themselves, they start to learn how to speak to other people, that there's going to be amazing things happening in your life because your voice is needed, your input is needed. You have 100% responsibility in any relationship to do your 50%. And it goes for both sides. And the other one on the other side who is with a person who is a avoidant of conflict, you have 100% responsibility for your 50% in the relationship and not the other person's 50%. So I hope this makes sense. Let me see. Anybody out here who are conflict avoidance, anybody who is with a conflict avoidant, anybody who wants to share something that they've learned that's helping them, let's check. Okay, I don't see any comments. Okay, why is there a sad face? Why are you sad? I need a comment there. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me see. Any questions? Because what I've now learned is that if I go off too fast, then the questions pop up afterwards. Right. So while I'm waiting to see if anybody is going to comment or ask a question, I want to welcome everybody who comes afterwards and who comes and look at the replay. Please keep on giving the love and share with other people, and please comment, ask your questions. Okay, thanks, Mitch. I'm really happy if something makes you sad, even if it's a thought of what could have been if I knew this. So I'm really happy that there's an emotion in you, because too often we just shut down the emotions and we stay with whatever it was in the past. So when we go back to that sad and we go ask, what is it here to tell me? You're going to figure it out, and then you can do something about it. Yes. Um, Not be allowed to have conflict as a carryover from our childhood. That's a really good point. It is, some families we were supposed to be just happy to make the adults happy. Some families we had adults who needed so much input for them to get through life that they couldn't face having children who were not happy. And so, or some in some families, there was no space for anybody else's problems except for the children, or for the parents. And then the children learn to be little adults and just behave like little adults, and don't rock the boat, don't stir, don't anything, because it is just going to end up in pain for myself, emotional pain. Or I'm going to be disappointed because what I'm asking and I'm not getting support. If you want to add anything to that, Mitch, go ahead. Well, that's a really, really good point. Right. Anything else here? While I'm waiting for more comments, I do have to tell you, like, I have been married to an avoidant of conflict for 38 years. And the first 30 years has been incredibly hard for me because I am the taker overer. Taker overer. I'm the one who could easily jump in and see there's a problem and let me fix it and let me do your part. I'm that one. And you do that when there's a gap. You do that. And you, in the beginning, you just think, it's so wonderful. I can do it for you. You know, it's no problem. Let me do that for you. I'm good with this stuff. Let me do this. In the end, it just stops working because there's going to be one person who's going to be overburdened and overwhelmed and feeling extremely alone. And on the other side, there's somebody who's going to feel that they are not valued for their input, even although they are freely not giving it, that they are not seen and that they are not important. And so, from both sides, there's going to be resentment starting. And that is a very big part of a hamster wheel relationship, which is, as we all know, going nowhere. Same fight over and over, same results over and over, very debilitating. And in the end, if you don't change that behavior, you are going to end up in very, very deep problems. Right, so let me see. Um, Anybody else? Anything else? Any other questions there? No, nothing. Right. Still going to give you a little bit of time just to check that the last 2 weeks I've missed uh, a comment every single time. So don't be shy, jump in there. I can see if you're writing something and I'll wait for it. Um, Thank you very much for everybody who shows up. I love doing these little tiny seeds. If there's any topic that you would like to discuss, you can share it with me with the greatest pleasure. I will talk about it for you. And before we end off, I just want to send a lot of love to my friend Rosie Aiello, who was one of the speakers in the Trauma to Triumph Summit. I know she was the first speaker, and I know that everybody fell in love with her. I'm going to cry now because Rosie's daughter died 2 weeks ago. And I want to send a lot of love to Rosie because I know that it is a really, really bad, challenging, impossible, devastating thing to happen. And but the tightness of a bond between Rosie and her daughter from surviving an abusive relationship and escaping from it. I am going to share Rosie's interview with all of you out of respect for Rosie and her story, and I will share it on Sunday's email. Much love to you, Rosie. Really, really sorry about that. I can't find a tissue. And I can't jump up and run for the tissue. It's just tough luck. A big pleasure. Okay, so this is so good. Yeah. So, um, valid point, Mitch. Valid point. We see our point of view, and the other person see their point of view. And if we don't bring our point of view, the other person is carrying on with their point of view. And so life will be running from a person's point of view who is willing to step in and not scared of causing conflict. And ironically, not avoidance of conflict is the actual thing that's going to cause the conflict. That is the problem. So, talking through any problem, having an empowered adult conversation with people is what is going to help us prevent further conflict. So all we have to do is we just have to go look really, really well, and we have to go and scratch it until we find our adult underwear and put it on and have that conversation. And if you want to know more about that, um, on YouTube I have got 4 conversations tips, 4 videos with conversation tips. You've got to go fairly far back because that is one of the things. How to have a difficult conversation is in it, and then this one in the last chapter of this book. And remember, the husband, the conflict avoidant husband. I've said that the best chapter in this book is the one on how to have a difficult conversation, which is the last chapter in my book. Extremely important, but I have actually written it out step by step by step, broken it down how to do it with a worksheet. So, no excuses, jump in, go and try it, find your adult underwear, show up as an adult, do your 100% of your 50%. Thank you. Thanks. Um, If you are following Rosie, please go to her Facebook page and go post your post your love right there. I'm sure she will appreciate it. She's very special. Thank you everybody for pitching up, and thank you everyone for commenting, for sharing, for liking, leaving the hearts, and thank you for showing up every week. Really love, lots of love to all of you. Really appreciate all of you. Till next time. Oh, now I have to go look for that thing again. I didn't play my intro today. How did I not do that? I just started. Okay, all right. I'll play my outro. Lots of love, everyone. Bye.